In the realm of gaming, there have been many stories across different time settings, different world events, different historical events, and different mythological events. However, across all these, and this is already sounding cliche as it is, there has been one specific genre, time setting, that has not been touched upon in the gaming space as it should be. That is what many people know as the Wild West era. And there's many reasons to why. It's obviously due to it being the closest to modernization within society and the whole world. There's also a lot of the political and very prejudiced time setting it was. It was a very rough lifestyle and just a lot of stuff going on that many people don't really feel the need to go through that time period because of all those political baggages that's holding it behind it. And while there have been many games that touch upon Western genre, like the 2005 Gun game, which was a sort of semi-open world kind of attempt at a game, but was discontinued because of fear for money. Then there is the infamous Gunsmoke game that was the 1984 arcade game made by Capcom, but it was a shoot 'em up, and due to the technological hardware and limitations, plus it being an arcade game, was clearly not the Wild West that people were expecting. However, despite all these attempts, there is one series, one franchise, one Western gaming franchise that has stood tall amongst the rest and is still talked about to this very day. And that is one of Rockstar's greatest game series they've ever created, the Red Dead series. Now, I won't be the first, and certainly will not be the last, to say that Red Dead Online is a waste of potential. Unless you're one of those people that is a die-hard Rockstar Glazer, go GTA fanboy that does nothing but sit in their mom's basement, unemployed, single, right? And I don't know, just spends thousands upon thousands of your mom's credit card on shark cards to buy barely any new houses and cars. And even worse, you're one of those griefers on PCs that hack people's computers and has nothing better to do and are a slump. In that case, if that is you, take a breather, okay? Put down the controller, go outside, take a nice bath along with it, brush your teeth, take care of your skin and body, touch grass, smell the fresh air, smell carbon dioxide and oxygen, come back and then we will talk. Until then, don't say anything. But along with that joke aside, no offense to those people, we could all agree that Red Dead Online, despite it being a pretty beautiful game, it is a game that has wasted potential. And I'm not here to talk about the downfall of Red Dead Online, nor am I here to talk about the history of Red Dead Redemption as a whole, or the Red Dead series, because that's not what this video is trying to go for. If you guys would want that, then let me know in the comments, talk to me about it. I might be able to probably do it. Give me like 10 likes and I'll consider. But, I mean, this is not really what it's about. This is sort of going over what could have been Red Dead Online, what should have been Red Dead Online, and what it can... what Red Dead Online can still be. And what I mean what can still be Red Dead Online is that, well, we all know that Rockstar had abandoned Red Dead Online for GTA Online, and we obviously know that they're working on GTA 6, which is a massive project that takes a lot of time. However, even with that idealistical viewpoint there, we cannot also negate the fact that Red Dead Online had potential to be one of the best online live service games Rockstar could have ever outputted. And it may not have sold bangs and bands and rings as how GTA Online is, but it could have be relative or sort of, dare I say, rival it. And in terms of quality, could have definitely surpassed GTA Online in terms of quality, mainly off of these key factors. It is the newest game. It is much more detailed, has better visuals, gameplay loop, graphics, and etc. And the time setting allows for a lot more creativity and, I guess you could say, sort of freedom to allow for a variety range of what can be possible during this time. We gotta remember, Red Dead Online and Red Dead Redemption 2 takes place during the dying days of the Wild West era. In other words, the late 1800s. And as the title suggests, or as the era suggests, it was wild, out of control, in the wicked Wild West. So this allows for a variety of missions that can be taking place. And so what I'm going to discuss in here is what can they add to Red Dead Online that should have been in there and to begin with, and that can still save Red Dead Online. Now, yes, there have been many people that have touched upon this and even sort of explained, what it can do and stuff like that. However, there's a common problem within many Red Dead Online YouTubers talking about what Rockstar could add to Red Dead Online. And that is, they do say it. Some of them even do explain it, but I feel like they don't explain it to a large extent or go too in depth with it in terms of how can it exactly be implemented. How does this incentivize the player? How does this benefit not only the player but Rockstar Games as a whole? And what does this mean for Red Dead Online? And how can this increase the longevity of the game? And that's what I hope to accomplish in this video. And sit back, relax, grab some snacks, Corey Kenshin, and let me take you down a road of a game that could have been more than what it got. And I guess the best place I can really start off would be the
Riz of the Sigma who will get phantom tax. That's the question.
Now, quality of life can be in its own right. There have been a bunch of quality of life updates to Red Dead Online, and quality of life updates can range from fixes, bug fixes, glitches, to even adding little things that, especially even little things that, help indwell and immerse the game. However, the kind of quality of life updates I'm talking about, now those are still present because there's still a bunch of glitches and bugs that need to be fixed, and Rockstar fixed your game. But the quality of life updates I'm talking about is pretty big ones. And these are the ones that should have been in the game. For example, we all know that the game is really realistic and detailed. And I want us to be able to truly fulfill that and that immersiveness, right? That interactiviness. And during the Wild West days, people were doing whatever the hell they're doing, sort of. So what I think they should add in terms of life quality and how to just immerse the player more, especially for roleplay servers and stuff like that, would be adding new emotes. Now, there's two types of emotes I'm talking about. There are the ones where you can enact when you go near an object or a surface, like how you can sit down on chairs and benches and stuff. And then there's the emotes that literally you emote. Now, I'm gonna start with the ones where you can interact. Now, we all know you're able to sit on a couple of things. Yeah, there's even like special ones where you can sit on the edge of, like, I guess you could say, window/building, and this is one where you can sit on top of the train tracks and stuff, which is pretty cool. However, I feel like we need more of that. I feel like we should have a lot more interactivity within the environment, and what can we do with it in terms of resting emotes or positions. So I'm thinking we should be able to sit on even properties that are not our own, right? We should be able to sit on those chairs and stuff like that. I feel like we should have the ability to sit on wooden crates or barrels. For not only is that possible, we do see that a lot in the cutscenes and stuff like that, but you know, that's something that a lot of people did back in the day. Also feels that certain emotes are like my fault. Certain objects, so let's say you want to sit down on a wall or up against a wall, you can do that. Perhaps that might even be its own little emote, but who knows? But yeah, you'll be able to sit near a wall. And another thing I also wanted them to add is you being able to lean on any surface. So lean on the wall, leaning on the post, near a garbage can, and you know, stuff like that. I'll obviously put up screenshots as to, you know, sort of be more specific what I'm trying to say. But essentially when, especially in the story mode, if you were to load into the game as John or Arthur, usually they're doing something. One of the things they could be doing is kneeling on a post, a wall, stuff like that. And I want us to have the ability to do that in online with our characters, being able to lean near a wall, even near a garbage can, near a post, and perhaps have different positions in between that in real time. So there would be the position that they usually do it in. They could either be up their back up against the wall and stuff like that. They could still be near the wall, but probably holding down their belts or stuff like that. You know, varieties that helps, you know, really, it may be little and insignificant, but it does help to really immerse the game and make those little moments come to life within the game. Another thing would be, for example, the emotes I was talking about earlier, which is actual emotes that players use in sense of we should be able to have team emotes. So we should be able to have emotes where people can, I don't know, high five or handshake each other, hug each other, and pick up each other, like a bridal emo, something like that. I don't know, freaking something, anything really. Just more, you know, interactivity with the world, the environment, and the players themselves. That way, yes, it's insignificant. Yes, it's small. However, it's those little things that truly make the game come together and feel much more alive and immersive for the players, especially since a commonplace within a lot of live service Rockstar games is that people love to do RPs. So this will also be beneficial for the RP server. This will also bring people, a good amount of people back into the game. Now, would this bring a lot of people back to the game? No, because at the end of the day, these are obviously quality of life updates. But these could be sort of the first traces of the revival stage for Red Dead Online. Also, the ability for us to, you know, take a bath. You can do that in the story mode, and you can also do that in GTA Online. I don't know why you cannot, you know, take a bath in Red Dead Online. Now, at first, I was thinking, well, because the female avatars, but let's be real. When was Rockstar ever afraid to show nudity? And also, I don't know why this is not a thing, but being able to lean on any bar or saloon, I don't know why that's not a thing. You should be able to lean on any bar table. You can do that in the Moonshiner. If you expand the Moonshine into a bar, you can actually lean on it. I don't know why you can't do that in any other saloon, like the Bonsai Saloon, Blackwater Saloon, you know, Saint Denis Road. Like, I don't know why you can't do that. That's kind of questionable, but whatever. Please add that, please. Thank you very much. And so, with all this being said, this kind of goes over the life quality section. Now, yes, I know this is a pretty small section and it wasn't a lot. However, I do feel like this is important to say for, again, it's the little things that really matter, that truly make the game come to life and really evolve and develop. However, these updates alone won't be enough to truly revive Red Dead Online, which leads me to my next point, being the major updates. And I'm gonna start from small major updates to the big ones that people have been asking for. And thus, we're going to be talking about now roles. We all know what roles is in Red Dead Online. Roles are roles where you can buy with gold and you partake in certain activities related to those roles, and you reward for those roles will be money, gold, experience, and you can even get new weapon skins, new cosmetics, new skills, new clothing, new horses perhaps, and new vehicles of transportation, such as new variants of wagons. Coolio. However, there are a very limited amount of roles, and the roles that many people want are not present in the game. And this is one of the major updates that needs to be added that can definitely help bring life back into the game and increase longevity of the game, which is the role systems. We need more roles in the game. Yes, Naturalist role is pretty cool for people who like to do animal hunting, whatever the hell. Bounty Hunter is a very popular role that many people have, and people love the role, and that was a must-need role for the time period is. Then we also have the Trader role, which is very well liked, the Moonshiner role, which is also well liked, and then we even have the Collector role, which is all about exploration. That's coolio. However, we need more roles that prioritize fun and gives you a good amount of profit in the process. Obviously, I'm talking about in-game profit, like you get a lot of money in gold and experience from doing it, and it's fun to do. Yes, you can have your little, boring side, exploring ways to make profit, but people want to have fun and get rewarded for doing something fun. And thus, the roles that I have would be like a farmer role or a lawman role. One of the two most popular roles people wanted. Being able to play as a lawman, and as you rank up in the lawman role, you start as a lawman, right? A police officer. Then you work your way up from that to sheriff, to lieutenant, to captain, and stuff like that. That would be coolio. Maybe even having a business role, or like business role. Be able to start your own business and, working in certain departments and having to carry out things and stuff like that. I feel like that's one that people, might enjoy. That would be coolio. A farmer role. This is a time period where farming was heavily, important, imperative, and was heavily utilized. And so having farming or a farmer role would be awesome. People want to have their own, farmhouse, or even build their own house. Have that be an ability for us to be able to do, build our own house. And be able to build our own barn, have our own cattle, sell cattle, gain profit from that, etc., etc. And as a result of that, you gain experience and knowledge and skills on how to handle animals and stuff like that too, which can be beneficial within the free roaming aspect from when you ever come across an animal, depending on what the situation is and how the animal is and how they react and stuff like that. Your skills you learn from ranking up in the farmer role and doing all the stuff you've done with the farmer role can allow for you to be able to handle the situation accordingly, which not only provides for much more reward in process, but it also helps to incentivize immersion and really bring the world alive together, which also increases many players doing a variety of things. It changes up the way how people play the game to be much more immersive and realistic. And yes, at the end of the day, Red Dead Online and the whole Red Dead Redemption series is a crime game where you play as an outlaw. However, that does not mean that you cannot have your little side content there within it. I mean, look at GTA. That's also, above anything else, a crime game where you play as a criminal and creating crimes, but it has other stuff too that helps the world feel much more alive. It helps it makes you feel much more lived in and feel much more immersive. Same thing here. And then there's probably other roles too, like an outlaw role where you can do a lot of outlaw activities that change up the mission structures a lot. Perhaps, instead of having to go from one place to another place and yada yada yada, perhaps there could be shootouts at the start of a mission that come to your place. For example, there might be also missions where you have to blow something up and sneak in, or control the crowd, or having to steal something, etc., etc., etc. A variety of missions that changes up the formula of how a lot of missions are played and gives a lot more nuance to them. Again, this will also incentivize players to go out and do things. And so with this role section covered up, I may have not gone too in depth. However, there's so much to talk about it that I don't really want to have to, put in this video. Plus, I'm not too knowledgeable on the types of roles we can really have and how they can exactly be structured per se. But regardless though, these are some of the things that need to be added into the game in order for it to actually, be revived and to allow for a lot more immersion and replayability. And so we're going to get into the major part of this video. We're already in the major updates, which is the important section. And this is one of the most important, most imperative, most requested, most asked, most wanted thing that should have been in Red Dead Online, just straight up, but somehow for some random reason wasn't. And that is, you guys guessed it, Now, robberies are crucial, okay? Everybody loves it when you're able to rob stuff in a game, especially a game like, about outlaws during the Wild West era. And this should have been something off the get-go that should have been added. For it was a very prevalent thing within the story missions of Red Dead Redemption 2. And many people expected you to be able to do that, especially since that was one of the major updates that not only, popped GTA Online off for success, but also what created it to be so massive as a whole was the introduction of robberies and heist. Yes, they did kind of, advertise it before GTA Online came out, but, they also lied to the fans and later added. But regardless of the factor, yes, robberies is imperative, and many people want to be able to rob. And so, many people have always suggested, obviously the most crucial one and the most important one, robbing banks. Robbing the Valentine Bank, the Rose Bank, the Saint Denis Bank, the Blackwater Bank, and all the other kinds of banks too. They've also suggested train robberies. Train robberies is also something cool. And it was another integral part, not only in the story of robberies, but also just in general robbing things too, especially during this time period. A lot of train robberies. The problem is there is no passenger trains. So for starters, in the free roam, there should be passenger trains, but there should also be heists where you also rob trains as well. And then there is obviously the ones I want to add too, which will be ferry boat robberies or boat robberies, which I think will be pretty coolio. And would also change up the way how, robbing banks would, or at least not robbing banks, but robbing would, be approached. And then we also have stagecoach robberies and, of course, homestead robberies, which can be done in free roam, sort of, but homestead robberies are so very limited, and we need much more accessibilities and freedom to be able to rob a lot of houses at certain times, and perhaps have a little like free roam side mission. We have to sneak around and grab as much as valuables as we can and get out the house and be undetected or something like that. And stagecoach robberies can provide a whole entire thing. You can stop things in the tracks. You can, lead them the wrong way. You can blow it up. You can obviously shoot them out. You can sneak in, grab the loot, depending on what kind of, stagecoach it is. If it's a loot you need to grab or you need to take it someplace, then that depends. A lot of freedom and player agency with stagecoach robberies. However, here's how I would implement robberies, like the main ones, such as bank, ferry, and trains. I'm just going to specifically talk about the bank robberies. For train and ferry boat robberies, while there's a lot of freedom and player agency that can be done there, I feel like it is also a little bit limited due to the type of robbery it is and the type of thing we're robbing. Maybe less on ferry boats and more so on train robberies, but there is still some player agency to be done there too. Let's not get that twisted. But right now, for the sake of this, I'm going to be focusing on bank robberies. Now, many people wanted bank robberies to be such a free roam event, and I agree, it should be a free roam event. However, to get the most amount of fun and profitability off of these missions, I feel we should also have the ability to hold up bank heists, like special, legendary bank heists that we say, right? And this could be obviously hosted from your camp or in your property you own, which I will get to that in a later section. And basically how I decided it would go is depending on how many people is on your team. You can do it one or more. But if you were to go out alone, it would be much more harder, for you need to worry about how to control the crowd, how to provide or how to, persuade the big manager and stuff like that to open the safes, or how you're going to open the safe in time. You got to worry about the law, the time of day, etc., etc., etc. It will allow for a lot more challenge to approaching bank heists, but the reward will be very worth it as a result of that. However, if you have 3 or more people, obviously between one and how many people you want, you can do it. But let's say you have 3 or more people, it becomes lesser in terms of challenge. Not to say it's not going to be challenging. It's going to be definitely challenging. However, you will have less on your plate to worry about. And I think how it can work is that either the host of the bank robbery, legendary banks, can assign their posse members or their team leaders, team members, what job they are, or they can vote on who picks a job or who is assigned to a specific task. So, for example, we can have someone be assigned to who takes care of the bank manager and who cracks a safe or blows up the safe, who controls the crowd, who watches out for law reinforcements, stuff like that, who watches out for escape routes, etc., etc., etc. You know, things that help, you know, increase the challenge, the player agency, and just the decision making and, you know, critical thinking, lateral thinking that goes into these banks to make you really feel like an outlaw during this time, and to really have fun messing around and seeing who can handle which task. And then we get to the actual heist where, you know, you're all doing your tasks, you all can either blow up or, you know, crack the safe. And I feel there should be a certain timer depending on how fast you can handle it. And let's say you reach a certain time where the law catches up, or you run out of time, but you're able to grab the loot, and it's a big take that you keep. You don't sell it to anyone, you keep that take. Let's say law comes on, and now it's a big thing. It's a heavy shootout, blam, bam, 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 guns blazing and stuff like that. I feel like this is where player agency takes a forefront, because the game is going to tell you escape from the law. So this is where many things can happen. You can either blow up a wall and run through the rooftops trying to skip through the law, or you can run through the streets trying to escape through the law. There's also be abilities for you to go to certain, you know, certain buildings where have their own little interiors that you can go in there and hide out away from the law. If everybody on your team is hiding out, you guys have the option to either stay there till night falls, that will be easier for you to sneak out, or you guys can just wait it out a little bit, then all sneak out during that same time. You know, a lot of player agency that is done and that allows for critical and lateral thinking, that really helps build immersion and helps make the game feel fun, on top of giving you a big take. And this can be like, let's say 200 gold bars and like $1,500 or so, or even more. You know, big takes that makes, you know, robbing the banks, especially legendary ones, feel worth it. Now, I'm mostly just talking about Anthony and Blackwater, for those who can provide that. And there could be obviously player agency for any bank, legendary bank, that being Valentine, Armadillo, even though they don't really have a bank, so let me change that. Blackwater, Rhodes, all these stuff. Obviously, you know, there's going to be player agency for that, but depending on just the size of the map where you are can determine how much freedom you have to escape the law. Because let's be real, robbing the Valentine bank, you have player agency. However, it's going to be much more easier for you to escape the law, because all you got to do is get on your horse and just ride out while shooting away from your law, which would be much more epic, climactic, you know, shootout. That really helps build fun and enjoyment, but also rewards the player for that incredible feat. And it should also be timing how fast and efficient players are able to finish it, which gains much more rewards. That's how it should be in general with these missions, but whatever, I digress. But yeah, that's just sort of my idea of how I figured robberies can go, especially legendary robberies. Now, yes, you can still pull off a robbery in free roam, and you still have somewhat player agency within that, and you gain a good, decent take. However, to get the big money making and the most amount of fun will be held at the legendary bank robberies held in your camp or on your property. That's how I envision it. And for train robberies, they could be legendary ones, boat robberies, legendary ones too, which can change up, you know, how you can enter a the train robbery. So you could probably put the oil wagon on a train track, have the train stop like that. You probably step in there in front of the train tracks and make it stop. You could blow up the tracks. You could shoot the train driver. You can jump onto the train tracks, or to the train, and sneak in. You can sneak onto it, etc., etc., etc. Variety of ways. And then obviously, when you get into there and you see the passengers, you obviously have to, you know, persuade them to give up the money and stuff like that. So of course, there's obviously going to be tasks, and people got to watch out for law, got to search various cartridges and cargoes, and then you have people holding the bag for the money while someone holds the gun and intimidates the people, and sometimes has to beat them in order for them to give up the money and stuff like that, etc., etc., etc. You know, again, player agency, it's fun, it's creative, it really allows for critical lateral thinking, and you get a big take and a good reward on it, and how much you efficiently, you know, play it and go through it will determine how much money you can get, as well as how missions should be structured. I also think that, you know, we should also have certain buildings that should also be robbable too, and even like mini ones, like being able to just rob a store or rob people on the streets and stuff like that. That should also be a thing where we'd be able to do as well. But, you know, stuff like that. And with Robberies there, we covered the major crucial gameplay that should have been added, the major content. However, we're not done yet. There's still a lot more to be done. And this would go into sort of two of these major contents that I have. And that is the... Now, if y'all don't know this, but Rockstar are always known for making great stories within their games. And surprisingly enough, the online version is no different, especially Red Dead Online story. But the Red Dead Online story is, for what it is, a pretty good story. The only problem I have with the story is that it's goddamn unfinished. Like, for some reason, Rockstar just didn't decide it was a good idea to finish the story and kept it unfinished and discontinued. Why? So here's one of the major contents that they needed to add regarding the story. Bring back the story, the major story with Jessica Leclerc and all that, and finish it. There is one more suspect that needs to be taken. That is Lancey. We need to have a mission like that, and I kind of had an idea of how that story can play out. So we have a few missions where we're trying to gain intel and doing some cool stuff, sneaking into places, grabbing stuff like that, intimidating people to get more intel on the suspect, and then we bring it back to Jessica Leclerc and stuff like that. And then the final mission can have us finding off her and her lackeys, yada 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 yada, and then here we are having to chase her down. I suggest we chase her from horseback, then something happens that causes us to chase her on foot, and then we have to go through this place, and then she has like all these crazy, you know, plans and stuff like that, but we do manage to catch up to her, and Jessica and her, they have a chat, and obviously Jessica puts a bullet in her, and this is where the story kind of has a much more sad, sort of bittersweet ending. And as Jessica finally puts down the last suspect of her husband, she feels relieved but can't help but start breaking down. And then she got her breakdown on Horlet, or breakdown on one of our characters. Probably one of our characters signified the amount of trust he has for us, but probably breaks down on one of our characters and, you know, falls onto them, and she just starts crying. And the reason for that is because, well, yes, she did kill the people that killed her husband. She avenged her husband, but at what cost? She still does not have her husband. Her husband is still dead, and that cannot save or heal that wound that is dwelled deep within inside her. But she can at least rest easy and feel some sort of closure, knowing that the people that wronged her and her husband are dead, and that her husband's been avenged, and that those people can no longer harm anyone else's family members again. And so perhaps we get obviously money in return, and then this is the last time we see Jessica and Horlet, and yes, they do find a way to extricate themselves from the mess and the law and stuff like that, and we find a way to clear our name. And so that can also end that story. However, that's not the only story and opportunities we can take. And this will also be kind of part of this other section I had that I put in this section would be the map expansions. Now, for starters, we can have a multitude of stories within the main map regarding for various backgrounds, even having the main characters from the story mode come into play in Red Dead Online and play some sort of part within the story. For that was a thing that happened in GTA Online. with the contract DLC. So we can have something as big as that in Red Dead Online with the Vanderlyn gang or any other, major main character, a character from the story. And then on top of that, there's also the major one I added, which will be the map expansions. Why is this important? Well, if you played the original Red Dead Redemption, aka Red Dead Redemption 1, you know that throughout the story, John Marston has to travel to Mexico. And Mexico has its own unique style, its own unique ways of living and how it operates in the game and stuff like that, its own monsters, etc., etc., and has its own little maps. And it is near the American border. And even crazier is that you can also go to Mexico in the online version of Red Dead Redemption 1. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. Originally, you were supposed to be able to enter Mexico after you beat the main story of Red Dead Redemption 2. However, that was scratched due to time constraints. But in Red Dead Online and in Red Dead Redemption 2, if you go to New Austin and at the edge of that area, you can see one of the maps of Mexico across the water, across the river, across the sea, which means that it's there, but it's not used at all. And there's no way to travel there, which is weird because ideally you should be able to travel there if that's something that you can pretty much see, since that was one of the biggest things that was added to Red Dead Redemption 1, but that's not in Red Dead Redemption 2. So add Mexico back as a map expansion and add it to Red Dead Online. Now, why would this be important? For starters, it will increase map expansion, which will also increase exploration and new opportunities to story. But we can have a lot of stories and opportunities and new styles of missions and clothings and weapons and all that be taking place not only in Mexico, but also change up a lot of how we play Red Dead Online and create new stories. Perhaps even stories that touch upon political times during Mexico. Obviously, people don't like politics, and it doesn't have to be too realistic. It can obviously be extreme and cartoonist, but Rockstar has never shied away from the real world problems. What really helps to give it that charm, though, is that it's able to balance the real world problems with fun activities and goofiness as a part of it. And so they could obviously easily do that with this, adding some sort of political stories within Mexico, but that makes it fun and doesn't make it sound like they're talking us up and being woke and whatever the hell. So there's also that. So with that being said, there's a lot of opportunities to be held within Red Dead Online if they do go with this. Of course, like I said, the map expansions will be very imperative with new story elements and new opportunities and stuff like that. And let's not forget, guys, Red Dead Redemption 2 added an entire new map that was supposed to also be explored but got cut. Guarma. Guarma is an entire new map, and there's even more parts of the island. We only just discovered a section of it. Imagine we have Guarma back in Red Dead Online, but we can explore more of the island that allows for new opportunities and new stories to be held in there, new weapons, new vehicles, new stuff right there, and then allows for new exploration and just new biomes. This will really increase the longevity of the game, because it will not only bring people really much back into the game, but it will increase profit and sales for Rockstar Games, and it will allow for a long variety of range of content to be held, because not only do we have the already big massive map of the main map of Red Dead Redemption 2 that was bigger from the already big map of Red Dead Redemption 1, but we have Mexico to add on top of this expansive map. Then we have Guarma, which all have their own unique ways of living, their own unique biomes, their own unique traits, and have their stories, cosmetics, weapons, all that stuff. This is all imperative, and it's something that we need in this game if we want Red Dead Online to be not only revived, but to also succeed and be beneficial for every single person, for everybody to win. And so, with all this major stuff, we gotta tone it down a little bit, come a little bit back to earth, and talk about one last major part of this section that needs to be discussed. And that is the thing that people have also been asking for, that should have been in the game, but wasn't for some reason, that Take-Two Interactive and Rockstar Games promised that it was going to be in the game, but went back in the world because they're liars. That is the inclusion of properties and buildings, or businesses, my bad. This is something that is obviously, in GTA Online. You can buy a lot of houses, a lot of property, and you can buy a lot of businesses. I feel like the same thing should be applied in Red Dead Online. However, it's taken to a much more agreeable measure. For starters, players need something to spend a lot of gold and money on. The problem with Red Dead Online right now is that people have many ways to make money in gold, but don't have a lot of ways to spend that money in gold on something meaningful. This will also be another way for people to finally find ways to spend their money on properties and businesses that can cost not only a lot of money, but certain things a lot of gold as well. For example, I feel like we should have variety of houses that we should be able to pick from, that we can have people build for us, or we can build ourselves, if depending on what kind of materials we have. And we should also be able to have the ability to buy our already established property that's in the game, or even houses from places like Saint Denis, because there's a lot of houses there we can probably have. And within that thing that we bought, we also should have the ability to customize the interior, so we can have a kitchen with cooking utensils and stuff like that, basement, an attic, right? Perhaps, obviously, a living room with furniture, beautiful furniture, depending on how much money and what style your house you're going for. That depends on how good looking everything looks. Nice. Change the colors, the walls, how everything looks, etc. A lot of features. There's already mods about this, but this obviously could be expanded more with Rockstar. They officially do it. And one thing I actually wanted to add to the property that can also add not only player agency and creative freedom, but also allow the players to play as how they want to play in the game, but can also help change up how we approach properties. And that is intertwining certain types of houses together, or certain type of properties together. So let me break it down. Let's say you have like a lot of money and you're rich, and you buy yourself a mansion. But on top of you buying yourself a mansion, you have the farmer role. Now, already, if you have a farmer role, you're able to buy the type of houses that has, a regular ass house or cabin, and then you have your farm, your barn, and stuff like that. So imagine, not only do you have a certain rank on the farmer role that you've unlocked, but on top of the mansion, you're able to connect and intertwine with that type of style. So you have a mansion cattle or mansion farmer-esque kind of house. So you have a beautiful mansion with a barn in the backyard and some cattle to handle around, stuff like that. That's an example of the variety of connections that can have between different types of houses and different types of roles entertaining to each other. That way, it creates player freedom, choice, creativity, and incentivizes players to actually spend their money on, and hell, even incentivize players to buy the damn money in the freaking online store with their hard-earned real-life money. Like, there should be a lot of things that be costing gold when you're creating your stuff, furnitures, and properties, and obviously a lot of things should be costing money. That way, people have things to spend it on. And so that concludes the major part of this section of how this can help bringing the game back to life. And then there's even other things that are added too, like, for example, with the business side, you can obviously run businesses, like, so maybe like, run a saloon business, an oil business, right? Crime business, probably, and stuff like that. Make your own house, obviously, part of that stuff too. But, you all get the gist of it, most likely. I know this might have been a little bit out of order, and that's because I've been trying to make this video, but I've just been, like, so tired and just, like, have so much to say that I just, like, whatever. But as y'all know, there's a lot to be done with this game. And there's so much that can be done with this game if Rockstar just put the time and effort into it. Now, I know this should be the part where I'm going to, or at least where I should be, ending the video, but there are some things I do want to touch upon a little bit. Now, I won't go too in depth with them, but these are things that I do think that need to be done. These are more sort of life quality, but these are so important. So, some things that needs to be added. For starters, I feel like we should be able to increase the amount of posse members we have from 8 to like 20 something, maybe even like the maximum 30 people. Because listen, the idea of having a big ass posse and having your own gang and stuff like that would be also really cool. And it's very limited on what we are, right? I also think we should also have like solo missions, or be able to have solo missions. And in terms of story missions, stuff like that, we should be able to have every posse member, the maximum posse member, be able to allow it in story missions. I can understand that can probably cause for a lot of problems, performance, and even the cutscenes. But what I say is just pick 4 of them, the first 4 or the 4 major people in the posse as to be the cutscene people, and then everybody else can play the game and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, it is a video game. Also would like some abilities for, not real abilities, more so the fact that in the story mode, whenever you load into your the game, Arthur or John are always doing something, whether they're washing their face, they're sleeping, they're taking care of themselves, stuff like that. I feel we should have that for our characters. Now let's say perhaps in your camp, then okay, that's understandable because you're in your camp and stuff like that. But let's say you're out in the world. Your character should be doing something to make it feel more believable and realistic. Like something has happened while you're away, and your character was doing something, making them somewhat of a living being rather than just, an entirely character. You know what I'm saying? I think another thing that should also be added is the ability for you to lay down. Like you can do that in GTA Online. You can lay down in beds. I don't know why you can't do that here. You should be able to have the ability to lay down mattresses, lay down on beds, even other property, like already established properties, beds and stuff like that, like how you can in the story mode. You should also be able to lay down your own camp bed and stuff like that. I also think you should have the ability to increase the camp. So increase the camp size, increase everything that happens in the camp. Exactly, like adding more tents, more wagons with medical care and stuff like that. Really have your camp be sort of like how the story mode camp is. And depending on the amount of people in your posse, you can also assign those people to what role or task they have within your camp, and if they can customize certain things too or not. That I feel like would be pretty cool to have. Another thing that they should probably add is also the wanted system in Red Dead Online. Now, the wanted system in Red Dead Redemption 2 is pretty okay. I mean, you do something, you get fast, yada yada yada, and then yada. Then as you create more crimes while already wanted, your bounty level goes up. It's really hard to get a huge bounty in Red Dead Online, so they need to rework it to where certain types of crimes get you a certain amount of bounty numbers. But as you create more crime, you are increased your bounty hunter, and I want my bounty to have like $5,000 on my head, and that almost constantly there's bounty hunters, there's lawmen coming after my head, and I have to fight them off constantly. I want something like that. Obviously, the ability for players to interact with your bounty and come through would also be a cool thing to have too, because that's something they can do. But it'll also help incentivize players and player interactivity within the world to make the world feel much more alive. So that way people can help, or not really help, but people can feel much more interactive and involved within the world, especially with each other. And these are just sort of some of the things I had in mind. There's probably some other things that can be touched upon that I probably forgot or I just kind of glossed over. And please let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you guys think of this, if you guys agree or not. But that's kind of just all I had, to be honest with you. So yeah, there's that. Hey guys, it's Editing RD here. This part is going to be me adding some other relative information I forgot to add in this section, just like how I forgot to add a lot of other clips and other stuff from prior sections. But guys, you have no idea how long this video has taken me to edit. It's taken me over, I kid you not, 10 hours. I started editing this video around 11 a.m. It's 12 a.m. almost. No, it's my fault. It's 1 a.m. So please guys, get this up to 5k views or something. I don't know, share it with your friends. But anyways, I digress. One of the things I feel they should add is random encounters. Now this is important because, I mean, let's be real guys, a lot of people come back to Red Dead Online just to chillax and explore and just feel the freedom. However, there is a clear problem within that, in the sense that it gets boring for the fact that while yes, it is chill and relax, there is not much happening within the world, which makes it sometimes feel a little bit barren and boring. And this was also balanced in the story mode. While it was also a nice way to chillax and relax, there was stuff happening while you're exploring the world. So this is why random encounters is imperative. Now, there are random encounters, but they happen so rarely. So increase the frequencies of random encounters, and we have a variety, from being able to rob homesteads to having to free someone who is chained up, to even seeing, random stuff happening in the world, such as shootouts, or prisoners escaping the law, people taking somebody in on wagons or on horseback. We also have some where it has you escorting more people escorting you, or you escorting people by fault to other places, also helping people out and having to help people who are sick or in trouble, and you need to give them medicine or suck out the venom and stuff like that, and that can later reward you with a discount, like how it is in story mode. There should also be ones where you're getting robbed as well. You have to fight your way out, etc, etc, etc. A lot of these random encounters that can help make the world not feel so barren, and exploring it will be not only unpredictable, but allow for a lot more freedom, well, not really freedom, but a lot more entertainment while exploring. And then another thing they should probably add as well would be Easter eggs. Another thing that made the story mode such a blast to go through and explore was the Easter eggs. There were so many crazy Easter eggs, from finding a pirate, to finding a letter to take to Bonnie McFarlane that never gets sent at all, to literal aliens and spaceship and stuff like that, and Bigfoot, and all these kinds of Easter eggs. Bring all of that, or at least majority of that, into the main game, and add some new and unique Easter eggs within online to again add a lot more believability and something for people to be entertained, and incentivized to explore more of the world when playing Red Dead Online, instead of aside from just doing missions all the time. It'll break up the break the pace, and whenever break the pace in a bad way, but more so expand the pace, and allow for something to be done in between the times of doing missions and not doing missions. And another thing they should probably do add would be the inclusion of just overall exploration, and adding much more exploration to the mix, along with also adding bar fights. Somehow implement bar fights. I don't know how. It could be a little event, little mini thing that could just trigger depending on the circumstances and time setting and how many people are in there. Even probably host an event with bar fights, but just make bar fights something. Because listen, man, a lot of us want to play. You want to do bar fights. It's cool. It's awesome. It's Western. Come on now. And that about covers this section. So we're gonna head on to the last two sections of this video, and I hope I have enough stories for it. Now I'm just gonna make this quick and re-edit this part, because I did have to record this part, but I just decided to condense it just to make it much more faster because I'm running out of time. And now the trend, it has probably died down in recent time, but it has been a pretty recent trend that give Rockstar time to finish GTA 6, and then they'll go back to updating Red Dead Online. And I'm not going to sit up here and say it is impossible. However, it's not very probable. And that's due to the fact that in recent times, Rockstar Games has shown their priorities, and that they're not the same company as before. And they don't really care about us, nor really be out for innovation in gaming. They are still going to innovate and keep up to their name when times call for due measures, but they've shown us that they really care for greed and money are out for themselves. And right now they're looking for the most profitable thing, and the GTA franchise is the most profitable series, ranking Rockstar billions of dollars, mainly due to GTA Online and shark cards. So am I going to sit up here and say that it's not possible that they will continue to or come back to updating Red Dead Online after GTA 6? No, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's probably possible. However, it's not very probable. And And so that sort of wraps off this video. It wasn't as well concise and constructed and well formatted as how I wanted to be and how I many times rehearsed it in my head, but I did at least hope got my points across clearly, and got to say the things I wanted to say that I've been wanting to say for a long ass time on this game. Because I'm pretty sure many of us can agree that Red Dead Online, despite some of its flaws, is overall a good game, and it has a lot of potential, and it's beloved by many franchises. And it's one of those games that you don't get a lot, since you don't get a lot of Wild West games, especially online Wild West simulators. And so we need this game to do good. We need better from this game and from Rockstar Games as a whole. And so I just hope that one day, just one day, Rockstar would give this game a chance. Will it happen? Definitely not. But it is a nice little thing to think about, and something that I feel like, it's pretty crucial and important to me, because I guess that's one thing that I really have for this game is just hope that the old Rockstar will be somewhat reunited, or at least the new Rockstar will somewhat see what they can probably do with the game, or at least give this game one more chance, just something, to revive this game. Because I'm telling you right now, there could have been a huge, space of opportunities for people to just take a breather and have this new gameplay style be much more fresh and nuanced and new for many people, especially Rockstar fans like myself alike. And so without that and just going immediately to the next GTA game, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna just be well done like that. I've already expressed it in my last video about my fears for GTA, but this is kind of where I'm in right now. So yeah, but I've yapped on long enough. This video is already out of control as how it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna end it off here, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe, and please share with all your friends if you can. It's not mandatory, obviously, so do whatever you want, but I would really appreciate it if that was the case. And give this enough traction to the point where Rockstar Games find this video. And don't be afraid. Don't just have my video be a source. Make a better video than I could ever do. Because while I did go in more in depth and explanatory of what I wanted to say, I do feel like there's still more I could have done. So that's where you guys come in. Let's have a peaceful chat in the comments. Let's debate. Let's see what points you guys agree with me, what points you didn't, perhaps what more you could add, expand upon it, etc., etc. Because we're all, at the end of the day, human beings. We all are here to play games, and we all love one thing: playing games, playing Rockstar games, and wanting better for Red Dead Online. So let's represent that. And until then, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.